never know otherwise or wouldn't be able to meet can kind of come together and talk about, awesome things like music. So, yeah, it's really weird. Like, sometimes I'll have, I have fans from, like, Kenya and Asia and places like that. So I think that's really cool. In terms of stories, I don't really know. I think I had this one message from somebody a few years back who listened to my music, and they were from, I want to say, Ireland, and they wanted to do a Skype co-write with me. And so we ended up collaborating and organizing that, but I think that's really cool that, music can reach so far, and, can touch a lot of people. You can, meet people that you wouldn't ever meet otherwise, so.
So you're saying that technology is a good thing, and the different outlets that it gives you now that weren't available back in the day.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it makes it easier, and it also makes it more challenging because with technology, there's so many people who have access to it that everybody has that kind of that easy venue or roadway for getting their stuff out there. So there's a lot more stuff out in the atmosphere, But at the same time, it like I was saying, it's great to be able to connect with like an audience or a demographic that you wouldn't have otherwise. So yeah, I think it's mostly positive.
And what would you say is the hardest thing about being a country artist compared to other genres?
I know me personally, the hardest thing is standing out from other country artists. There's, if you walk around town on any given night, there's a lot of, like blonde hair, guitar playing, country hair, or like country singer girls. So I think that that's a challenge for me, is to kind of make my sound unique enough and, make my image dynamic enough where people are going to, take notice. So that for me is a challenge. I think country music in general, like I was saying before, with the whole push toward this kind of quote-unquote bro country, where you got the guys kind of dominating, I think it makes it harder to be a country artist because it's changing so much right now. Like, country is not the country that you heard 10, 20 years ago. Today, it's like a mixture of pop and hip-hop and, like, even at times, like, rap, which is kind of crazy. But it's changing so much. So I think just identifying itself as a genre, it's kind of struggling a little bit right now. But it's kind of cool to see the direction that it'll go.
Yeah. When I listen to your songs, it sounds like you got, a bit of a, rock influence too. It's just not like straight up country like you were saying. Probably because you're working with a producer that, is known for ICP or Insane Clown Posse.
Yeah. And, that's what I like, though. I like that it feels like it's more me, I just coming from up north and having that rock influence in my life. I think that, I found really good people to work with who understand where I'm coming from and kind of what sound I want.
And would you say not a lot of people, but would you say some people out there don't want to accept you or, look down upon you because you have, you came from up north and a northern accent? Or has, the feedback been, hey, you're a country artist, that's it, just deal with it?
Yeah, a lot of people in Nashville are from out of town. There's very little people who have started in Nashville. So I think it's generally been, like, I haven't met a whole lot of negative reception. I feel like there's a lot of people from tons of different places around the States and even around the world who will come here to make it in country music. And I think the reaction's been positive, and people have been supportive. It's more about what you can do rather than, what part of the country you're from. So I think it's great, and then you've got the whole Southern hospitality thing, so people are very sweet to you, at least to your face anyway. So, yeah, I've encountered positive things.
Yeah, I've encountered both, but that's, I'm originally from Connecticut and out in Knoxville, Tennessee. And 10 years ago, it was a lot worse than it is now. But I think that's kind of people are realizing people that are coming from up north aren't necessarily coming out here to take over. They're coming out here to live because everything's so expensive. How's life, different for you now than when you were out in Pittsburgh? And do people, crunch you for time because you are a country artist?
What was that last part to people?
Do you have certain deadlines you have to meet because of you're in the country city in order to compete with other ones?
I think people are always looking for new music. So one of the things that's changed is me trying to keep up with the recording as well as the writing. I try and write at least one song a week, if not two, and usually I'll have more co-writes than that, and we'll write parts of songs that we finish later. But I think that's definitely different with my schedule. I try and keep myself busy in the day by catching up on social media and emails and updating everything online, and then usually I'll have a co-write sometime midday, or I'll write by myself. And then at night I will usually play out or go out and network or see my friends' shows. And I think that I'm a lot more in tune with what I need to be doing now that I'm in Nashville. When I was in Pittsburgh, I kind of had a more vague idea of what I wanted to do. I needed to get out there, I needed to get new music out, but now it's kind of, I know more of the steps in between of what needs to happen and how to keep competitive with the people around me. And I think we learn from each other. I have a lot of musician friends and artist friends, and we'll help each other out and kind of give each other tips on what we found that works. And I think it's a really great community in that you can kind of draw on collective knowledge rather than just kind of having to struggle by yourself.
Exactly. So, moving to a new area that, that was different for you, did it take some time to adjust the life from Pittsburgh to Nashville?
Yeah, definitely. It was a little bit of a culture shock. And it's kind of funny. Most of the original friends that I made here are also from up north. I don't know if kind of just subconsciously we sort of gravitated towards each other, but it's definitely different. I think in the South, obviously it's the Bible Belt, so there's a lot more of a kind of vocalized religious culture. And I grew up a Christian and I went to Sunday school, but I think down here it's a lot different. It's a lot more centralized, It's talked about, it's posted about on Facebook, and I just never, that never happened up north, So that was different, definitely. But then, people are much friendlier down here, just, I guess when you first meet them, they're very, very kind, very helpful, very polite, and, yeah, so that was a little bit different as well, but I embrace, both cultures. I think that both are, it's really cool to live in a different part of the country and to kind of explore a city that you don't know. So I felt fortunate that I got to do that in Nashville.
All right, so what kind of crowds do you like to play for and why?
Oh boy. Well, recently I played a festival in Pittsburgh, and that was a lot of fun. There were probably over 200 people there, and it was a very fun crowd. You know, there were lots of people who were there to listen and like have a good time and dance, and they sang along with some of the covers we played, and so that was a really good crowd. But I also love love playing to kind of like listening rooms, and you know, even if the audience is maybe like more like 20 or 30 people, and it's just you and acoustic guitar, I think that those are kind of good stages for some of the more powerful songs, some of the more ballady songs where the lyrics matter a lot more. So I think that those are fun because you get to kind of look at individual faces and kind of gauge where, as an audience, your listeners are at, and kind of cater to that when you're performing.
Now, out of all, you know, the songs that you wrote, which one is more the most meaningful for you? Like, you know, as far as life and things you went through.
Oh boy, like I said, I think I pull a little bit of fiction and a little bit of fact and kind of weave them together for my songs. I have a song coming out probably by the end of this month, depending on if we can keep to our schedule, but it's called If I Know You, and basically it's about a relationship, but it's about kind of knowing somebody well enough, even after things have gone, you know, downhill, to sort of know where their head's at and what you can expect out of that relationship. And that was a really powerful song to me, personally, just because, you know, it was very easy to write. I knew exactly in my head what I wanted to say, and I ended up writing it way faster than I usually write, which was like 20 minutes on my ride home from work one night. So I worked, I got home, and I just like quickly wrote down everything that I thought of in the car, and it ended up being probably one of my current favorite songs. So I'm really excited to get that out there and kind of have some of my fans and friends get to listen to that and see what that sounds like.
All right, if you're listening and you want to ask her a question, the number is 1-855-403-9071. Sometimes people do, sometimes people don't because they're shy. But it's all right. She's not going to bite you. But so when you're not working, what do you like to do?
Music takes up tons of my time. I love, you know, just fooling around on guitar or, you know, hanging out with some of my musician friends. Most of my friends down here are in the music business, so a lot of the things that we do are music-oriented. Like, we'll go to shows. I love going to concerts. I love hearing new music, listening to songwriters. But I guess something non-music related, my friends and I sometimes will go to trivia on Tuesday nights. And we'll just play trivia at some local bar, and it's a lot of fun. I guess they have, like, you know, they'll pay for your bar tab if you win, but we never win because we're terrible. But, yeah, I just like, you know, developing these relationships and spending time with friends and really just, you know, putting all my time towards music. Music isn't a job. It's like my passion, and I just love doing it all the time.
All right, now if you can put yourself in a blender and speak from yourself, you know, in a third person, how would you describe yourself?
This is going to sound like a resume, I feel like. I would say Melanie is a very passionate person who's expressive, creative, and you know, I was going to do whatever it takes to follow her dreams, to make music a career.
All right, and going from there, so how would you define success for yourself? Say 5-10 years down the line, are you looking for that huge touring deal and major label, or would a smaller thing with more creativity work for you?